So, obviously in this book and your other books, you always talk about social media and its integration with PR. Obviously, it's why we do why we do all this. But how has it changed, from the start of it and even till now? How has it changed your approach to PR as a profession, as an industry? How do you see it differently?
It is very different, in different ways too, because in certain respects, as a public relations professional, there were things that I never thought that I would be doing. So we always relied on our web friends for certain things, our video production team for video. We never would have dabbled in that. And now we're entrenched in our own technology. We do our own videos. We can do our podcasts. We're very hands-on that way. So that's refreshing, I think, for public relations professionals to learn new things and to understand that we have to be sort of connected to marketing and to advertising and to the digital creatives. It's really important in order to build something and have a cohesive strategy. In another respect, it's also that we've changed the way that we approach the public. Yeah. If you think about it, a lot of what we were doing, we were always the liaison. So if you take media relations, and that's why so many people were saying, wow, is media relations, is PR dead? Because media relations has changed because newspapers were dying and magazines were changing their models. So we don't always have to go through, the dog is crawling behind me, we don't always have to go through somebody else now. We can become influencers ourselves. We can have our clients connect directly with their customers, and PR is involved. So those ways, I think, have changed our approach the most.
Absolutely. So PR for you is obviously a passion. Mm-hmm. I think we all know that by now. So how have you defined and found how have you found your way in PR? Because obviously you don't start where you are today. Nope. So how have you found yourself in the industry?
Well, I was always lucky to at least know that I wanted to do communications and public relations, where I think sometimes people don't even have that path and have to figure out, well, I want to be in marketing, but which direction do I go? So I was lucky. I knew that I wanted public relations. But it was a little bit getting into the right place and feeling comfortable. So I think a challenge is, do I want to be in an agency? Is it a small agency, a medium agency, is it a large agency? Do I want to, is it B2B, is it B2C? Do I want to be in an in-house brand? Do I want to work maybe for government, right? A government agency or a nonprofit? And the only thing I can say is that you have to, if you're lucky, find a really good mentor who can guide you, that's number one, or try different things. So I started in, even though the agency was medium in size, the branch that I worked in was only about 7 people. So that, for me, it felt like a nice close-knit group. I left that agency, and that's when I was working in New York City at Padilla Spear. Then I came to New Jersey, and I started doing public relations for a beauty school and a Sebastian distributor. That was more in-house. That's the in-house brand. Then I said, no. Then I went over to pharmaceutical. So it was always because I was talking to people, I had good mentors, I tried different things. Where I started, in that small, close-knit group, was where I ended up. So it's almost like you sometimes have to find your way, but the hardest part is to nail down, is it agency, is it in-house? I didn't like in-house as much as I do agency work. Just took a little while.
Yeah, absolutely.
To figure it out.
Definitely is a project and a process all along the way. So what do you see, though, down the road for PR? And I remember in the book you said that PR2, it's not necessarily going to become PR 3.0. Mm-hmm. That's not necessarily what the next development is going to be. But what do you see PR developing into? As a lot of the questions have been forecast for 2011. Right. But even past that, what do you see PR kind of going down? What road do you see it going down?
I see it taking a very important role. I mean, for me, it's always been an important role. I've always seen public relations as strategic. this is communication, and it's the communication with the public that's so critical to the brand. I've heard people say, oh, you know, PR is so tactical on the news release side. No, not at all. In order for us to advance, to grow within our industry, to attract the best talent, it really is to stay on the strategic side, which we will, and that's why social media is so critical for us, that we have to be 10 steps ahead of our clients and 10 steps ahead of their industries to understand that what we're doing now has to be integrated with other disciplines so that we sit at the boardroom table. There were so many times in the past, in my career years back, when, you know, PR was always called in when there was a crisis. PR was called in to talk to the media. You know, PR has to be there in the beginning because it's about the overall communication, it's the messaging, it's the reputation, it's connecting and building goodwill and advocacy. So I really do see us taking a stronger role and working more closely with other disciplines and
a little bit more integrated.
More integrated and leading the way.
Mm-hmm. And so again, going back to you and you know, finding your way. I remember tweeting for the first time with you, and then you wrote a guest blog post on my website back in, I think that was April of last year. And you know, obviously, you know, a lot has changed, but you've always had that clear voice. You know, you've always been very approachable. You've always been very conversational on Twitter, without going overboard. You know, obviously. But so how did you find your voice, right? But how can other people, you know, find their voice and distinction in social media? Because there is a lot of clutter. But how do you find what you have a clear, consistent way of communicating? How did you find that?
I think it's a 50-50 split, the passion from within. So 50% of it is sheer passion of what I want to do and who I want to be. But it's also because I listened, and everything that I try to do is really because people like you, other students and colleagues, they're asking questions. They need help. So all I set out to do was to listen and to provide and to help people. So hopefully they would actually do the same thing. So that's my quest, that's my goal. But if I wasn't listening in certain areas and hearing what everybody was saying, and if it was only my own agenda, then I wouldn't be anywhere.
Yeah.
So if you're an influencer and you're going down a path and you're helping people and you set yourself up that way, keep going down that path. Because if you stop and then you go in another direction and you stop and you keep fragmenting yourself, it's a little too hard to manage, number one, and then you're never really there. You're not consistent. You don't have your focus. And with so many different people out there, you know, how do you keep it so that, you know, people want to talk to you, that they want to engage with you and you want to continue the conversation? It really is through focus and through giving and through learning together. That's the best way.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with you that voice is extremely important.
So important.
And you know,
and be true to your voice too.
Exactly. And you've definitely been a leader, you know, in that department of finding your voice, especially in social media, kind of since it all really the boom, you know, over the past couple of years. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank
and
you.
You know, I really hope to have you on soon, you know, because obviously we do the podcasts and whatnot, but this has been a very exciting new project, and I'd really like to have you on again. Maybe in maybe we'll have a panel discussion or something like that with, you know, other pros in the area. So thank you so much for joining us. And again, I reviewed her book. You can check out the review. It came out in 2009, but still read it. Trust me, and you know, hopefully we'll see another project of yours soon on the shelves.
I hope so.
All right, so and thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed it. And I look forward to seeing you all soon on PRTV. Take care, everybody.
Great, thank you.